Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday, the 21st of September. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
And Gary, we're up and about, we're pumped, we're excited, we're enthusiastic, we're passionate. We're all of the things that you should be in spring, but particularly a spring where the good Lord Dan Andrews has said, go forth, estate agents, go forth. And multiply is probably what he was thinking, but it's more go forth and show the good citizens, the good folk of Victoria through houses. Yes!
Go forth and multiply those stamp duty dollars, Phil, that have been very quiet while there hasn't been much happening in the state of Victoria. But yes, we have got ourselves a little leave pass. We've ticked the box, and well done to the RIV who have been trying hard to get us into homes, and we're now getting to homes in a very COVID safe and responsible way. Yes, the good Premier has allowed us to go through. So isn't it good? Good to be opening houses.
Just so that I was in touch with the real world, I thought I'd actually do what all of our team do, which is on Sunday I made some appointments. And I took some people through our property at number 32 Howard Road. I think I had 5 or 6 groups go through there. And I must say it's somewhat odd. I mean, the rules are the rules, and we're grateful to be able to show people through. But the rules are that the agent can only allow one family from the same household through the property at any one time. The agent has to stand outside and can't go inside. So, you know, it was kind of all counterintuitive because there I was standing at the front door, opening the door for people to go in. And all I wanted to do was follow them around the house, selling every feature of this remarkable property. But no, I just had to stand at the door like a gatekeeper. But I was grateful, Gary. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to criticize. I'd rather do that than sit at home thinking about the open for inspections. But it was good to be back.
Well, I've got to say, I think that Dan Andrews or maybe his family went through a house with you once before, Phil, and that's why that rule's come about. You know, they thought, I don't want any pesky Philip Kingstons or the like of him following me through houses. They can just find their place out the front. You just stay there on the street. I don't care if it's raining. You can stay on the bloody street, leave me alone so I can go through and do what I will with the home.
It may well be that fact, because I actually didn't think of it from that point of view, but a lot of buyers do get a bit narky when the real estate agent follows them around the house. You know, there's nothing worse than the real estate agent saying to educated, even uneducated people, here is the kitchen, this is a dishwasher, that is a double sink. Let me show you the instantaneous hot water service.
And that duct in the ceiling, that's the heater. Because I've been around in real estate a long time. Phil, there's no question that people... and then, of course, you get the vendor that either mystery shops you or asks you, are you going to walk through with buyers? And I have to say that I like letting buyers have space. But I like to watch their signals, Phil. And I think that's one thing that we don't get to enjoy now, you know, and of course, you love it when the kids run into the bedroom and go, is this going to be my room, Mum and Dad? That's a little bit of a telltale sign of interest, Phil, isn't it? We don't get to enjoy it.
Telltale sign of interest from the kids anyway.
Exactly right. And so, and of course, when you get that quiet moment with the kids in the house and the parents are off somewhere else, you say, has Mum and Dad been talking lots about this house when they're at home? And is there any other house they've been talking about? So we lose all those moments, Phil, all those telltale signs. But
that's why I always have bags of boiled lollies with me, Gary, where I say to the little kid, come over here. I'll give you these boiled lollies if you tell me what Mum and Dad are saying.
And it's good to have the company logo on, Phil, so they, you know, connect back to the company when they're eating and loving those lollies. But we're getting a bit ridiculous and silly is what we do sometimes. But now, Phil, also, I know I've had a number of conversations today with clients already saying, when can I have my on-site auction? Because there's a lot of haze and confusion, Phil. And of course, we get in and disseminate all the detail because we need to get the detail right, because we need to know what the hell's going on in the world of real estate, Phil. And of course, that's why people check into the show. But we have been put on notice that vax rates are pending, the right amount of vax rates pending. We will be up and about having auctions, Phil, on site on the 27th of October. So those auctions that are scheduled before then, they'll be going on Zoom. And I've got to say, Phil, for someone that didn't like Zoom, somebody that doesn't love tech, I've embraced Zoom like it was one of my kids. Love it now.
You know what? The Zoom auctions have been particularly successful for us. Having said that, I just want to make a viewer note that you wouldn't choose a Zoom auction over an in-room, in-house, on-location auction, but it has been a substitute for our in-house, on-site auctions. It's a good substitute in absence of any other way of doing it. It's been fun, and we've been particularly successful with it. But I think there's no doubt that as industry leaders, Gary, and as people that probably do more auctions than most companies, there's no getting away from the fact that crowd energy and the energy that one can create when standing at a location with people having that emotional connection is far better than any Zoom. But Zooms have been great.
Phil, look, there are many vendors now that have to make a call. Do they push off on the basis of what you've said? If I was a vendor listening to that, Phil, I would say, well, I'm going to push my auction off now to post October the 26th. But the reality is, Phil, if everybody does that, then it may be that those vendors that go to Zoom before then may have the advantage of having an extra market to capture, Phil. So it's something to think about and a contrary to that.
I want to just bring up a term that I've just coined, Gary. I've just coined this term. It's just come to me like a bolt of lightning.
Can I say I already don't like it? Go on.
No, you'll like this one. For the vendors that are thinking, do they wait for a on-site auction or do they go Zoom? The phrase that I'm going to coin, Gary, is you go at peak interest. So peak interest is my term. So I know that any of my clients that I'm working with at the moment, if I have peak interest in the property, I'm not going to say to our vendors, oh, let's wait until we can hold the auction on site. As soon as I think I've got the right level of interest, or what I call peak interest, the buyers have seen it, they've done their due diligence, they're excited about the home. That's what I call peak interest. And whether it's a Zoom auction or on site, if I've only got the choice of Zoom, I'm taking advantage of peak interest. I'm not waiting.
And Phil, if you haven't started your campaign yet, you do have the choice. And I still think that there's a lot to be discussed on a case-by-case basis of going off on Zoom before, even if you haven't started, of going off before the 26th of October, Phil, because there will be less around and you can get in and out quickly. So, and there's advantages in selling, we know. So, every case has got to be done on a case-by-case basis. Phil, we also decided that we were going to talk a little bit this edition because we are a real estate show. Hey, by the way, before I go to real estate, good luck to the D's for this weekend. I mean, are you sleeping at night? Are you losing any sleep? How about all of these big D signs everywhere? I'm walking in the streets, I'm seeing, I'm seeing on the grass. I saw at the end of my street on the grass, the D's colours. I'm seeing outside houses, big banners. There's a great one in Armadale, Phil. It's been featured. I don't know if you've seen that one. I think it's in is it in Bailey Street or?
It's in Rose Street, Armadale.
Yeah. I think that's right. So that's a big sign there going on.
Well, you clearly haven't driven down our street recently, Gary, because there is a family in Union Street in Armadale that have erected two very, very, very large boards on their house. There's also one round the corner in Lambeth Avenue, Armadale. Now, this family has gone to a huge amount of trouble, and in conjunction with a board company called Printco, who I just must declare to you, Gary, you'll see on the invoice for Printco, there will be 3 boards there. So just be prepared. If you drive down Union Street or Lambeth Avenue in where we live, Gary, you will see some monster boards.
Well, I hope any of the expenditure for those boards are being done through the private Kingston trust account, or private Kingston fund, and not the Gary Pearce Associates funds. But look, it's a very exciting time, Phil. And a lot of people are saying this grand final is the landlords versus the tenants, Phil. That's how they described it.
So I did see that, Gary, but we're not going to give that any oxygen whatsoever because it's rude, it's offensive, and it does not represent the Melbourne Football Club's membership.
Oh, so are you saying that the Melbourne Football Club have been portrayed as being landlords and not the tenants in this case? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. What I am saying, Gary, is that if you look at the membership of the Melbourne Football Club, it is a wide and very diverse membership. although it does have a strong concentration of Range Rover driving skiers.
Yeah, that's very true, isn't it? There must be a lot of them there. I seem to feel very shiny, Phil. I don't know if I've got some. It's like all of a sudden I'm actually an alien or something. The light is not, I don't know, the light's not great. So anyway, sorry for those people who might be watching this in bed trying to just sort of get a little bit of sleep or a bit of rest. And now all of a sudden, oh, my door just closed mysteriously there. So yeah, some people might be a bit freaked out by this.
Get back to real estate, Gary. But yes, a quick shout out to the Melbourne Football Club. We are all poised for an incredible grand final. It is rather upsetting that it is in Perth, but how good is it to see two Victorian teams and two teams that haven't enjoyed a huge amount of success over the last 40 years? How good is it to see them in the grand final?
I'm not trying to create danger, COVID danger or social disharmony, Phil, but I don't know how people are going to not congregate on Saturday to watch the grand final. I'm just going to say it, but it's one of those things that I think is going to be very difficult to stop, especially if you're a Melbourne supporter. You've been barraging for Melbourne for someone like you your entire life, and have never seen them going off before. I'm not going to ask you what you're doing. I don't want you to implicate yourself, but it's going to be an incredible game. And I think that now people
I believe Dan Andrews has got the barbecue police out, Gary, and the drone the barbecue drones spying on the good citizens to see what's going on the ground. But the grand final is all about having your mates over. But in the interest of this show and doing the right thing, we do not condone people breaking the rules. And ultimately, the sooner we all get through this, the better. But enough said about this issue, Gary.
I think the average person, Phil, also probably much like me, they like the Bulldogs because they're the underdogs and they've got that Bulldog, good Aussie battler Bulldog image. But, the downtrodden Demons, they need to have their day in the sun. They really do. So tipping the Demons and hoping for you and for the Kingston family, the long-suffering Kingston family, your father in particular, who's waited for a long time as a young man for this to happen. Good luck to him and good luck to the Demons. Phil, in terms of racing, I've got Man of Heart running in Benalla on Friday. That's what it's come to. So from an aspiration of the Derby, we now are in a Benalla maiden. And I remember going to the race.
As the owner of a horse that's running in Benalla, are you allowed to actually accompany the horse to Benalla?
I can't go anywhere with it, Phil. As the owners, I couldn't go to up the road to the heath to Caulfield if it was running.
No, but if you were the trainer, the trainer can go.
The trainer can, yeah. The trainer is.
Why can't you just call yourself the trainer?
Well, I probably could call myself the trainer, but it wouldn't make me the trainer. You could call yourself a car as well, but you're not going to be travelling anywhere, are you, as a car? Phil, the last time I went to a course like that was with Ararat. I had a horse running in Ararat, and the jockey got on the horse with a cigarette in his mouth. The jockey. So that's the sort of that's the kind of lows that racing can take you to, the lows and highs. Anyway, hoping that Man of Heart does perform this Friday for those that follow my horse. Phil, let's get on to real estate, away from racing, away from footy. Let's get on to real estate, Phil, because there have been a few properties sold. There are
before we talk about the sales, Gary, but back to real estate, I just want to talk to the viewers about what actually happened in Melbourne over the weekend. So the viewers, let's just take a few steps back. On Thursday night, it was announced that we could now show buyers through homes one-on-one. So what happened with us on Friday is we hit the phones, we hit the emails, we hit the SMSs, and we started getting appointments for buyers one-on-one. We had some properties, Gary, where we had up to 40 people going through a house, one-on-one, COVID-friendly, adhering to all the rules, of course. But I think the point I'm just going to make here is that buyers were really keen to get out and look at properties. So you're going to see a lot of activity now moving forward. If you're watching the show and you're unsure about what to do, go online, have a look at a property, get in touch with the agent that's handling that property, and just set yourself up to make an individual private appointment. Most agents are doing appointments 5-10 minutes apart. It's game on, Gary. Buyers are back and agents are back at properties showing people through.
Phil, we're going to talk a bit about the topic of do I make a pre-auction offer, but I think we'll hold that over for next week, because it's a good discussion to have and quite a lengthy one. And I don't want the episode to go for too long, but let's talk a bit about the vibe out there. Let's talk about what's been popular, what's been hot. We identified in our sales meeting yesterday, Phil, some of the sort of properties that are running hot with big numbers. Some of those properties, let's just talk about them. Land, an insatiable appetite again for land, Phil. It looks like that's going to continue. Low interest rates. People want the piece of the Aussie dream, Phil, and they still want to be able to have a back garden and yard for the kids to run around in. Is land anything hotter than land right now?
Land really is the number one thing. And keep in mind, viewers, when we talk about land, we don't talk about vacant land because there's not much in our areas that is vacant, although we do get the odd block. We're talking about properties where the value of the property is at land value. So it might have a very old weatherboard home, even a very old brick home. If that brick or weatherboard home is particularly unrenovated, more likely it's going to be sold to somebody that's either going to build their single house or some townhouses subject to council approval. So land is the number one hottest thing. It's also the thing, Gary, where the due diligence is really easy. You don't need to go and inspect it even. You know, you can look at it on Google Earth. You can drive past the property. A walk around the garden tells you everything. So land is absolutely, in all of the inner suburban area, land is the number one hottest item.
The other thing, Phil, seems to be quite hot is villas, like villa units. That are in small blocks, some of those horseshoe blocks of 6 or 4. They seem to be very strong in that sort of price point, between 500 and $1 million. You know, that price point, or even the low mill, that is a very strong and powerful area of the market, Phil, is performing very well at the moment.
And just to be a bit more specific than that, because there's not much really anymore at around the 500 mark. But I think if you look at that $800 to $1.1 million range, that's a really, really hot range because you've got a lot of first home buyers in our area that are playing in that space. You've also, excuse me, you've also got a lot of investors. That was not a COVID cough. You've also got a lot of investors. So that 800 to 1.1, and typically in our areas, that's going to look like a single-story 1960s villa, one of 6, one of 8, one of 10, generally in that horseshoe block, central driveway. There are 2 bedrooms, good entertaining areas, a single lock-up garage and some courtyard gardens. That's giving younger people the opportunity to renovate, refurbish, but gives them also the land. The one thing I want to just point out, Gary, is if there's one thing that moving forward is changing in architecture, because it was kind of designed out of properties over the last 5 years, and that is the re-emergence of the study. So over the last 5, 6, even 10 years, most builders, developers were going, well, we don't need a study anymore, because what is a study? What's it needed for? Most people just sit on their laptop and pay their bills from their laptop, either on the couch in front of the telly or sitting at the kitchen table. So we were actively participating with architects and designers and builders to say, look, don't have a room, don't waste your space on a study. Well, it's the re-emergence of the study, Gary. The study is back, but the study is back in a much more slimmed down version where we've got study nooks. We've got, for example, in our 2-story townhouses, where the entrance hall, where the front door is, you're seeing a lot of these kind of studiettes where there's a desk and some storage and some bookcases, maybe 2 chairs, and you kind of walk past it as you're entering the property. The study is well and truly back on the agenda of both buyers and developers.
Well, Phil, if you remember last year, we invited all of our clients to tune in to Neroda Conisbee, who is the economist for realestate.com, REA. And Phil, you know, she had revealed to us a few interesting facts. And one of the things that she revealed was that people who are looking for property and keywords, they're putting in study. So, you know, we saw this happening last year. It's emerged through now, the study or study area, and even some of the small apartments, like you say, some of these smaller apartments that are being built now and being developed, the hallway is no longer a hallway with necessarily a closet or a cupboard, but now there are these kind of little alcoves that are being cut out or designed within the hallway that allow you to sit down there with your laptop, with your desk, so you're in an area, maybe it might be a bit of a thoroughfare area, but it's away from the entertaining areas, away from the bedroom. So very interesting what's happening out there. So, Phil, let's just continue with what we're talking about, which is about what we can do. We can show people one-on-one through houses. We can auction after the 26th of October. And I'm not sure exactly when the open for inspections are going to continue, but I think it looks like the public open for inspection will also be, if I'm not mistaken, from that 26th of October date onwards, subject to vaccination numbers. And the other interesting topic, of course, is the outdoor auction is the only auction that will be allowed, Phil, with a limit of 50 people. Now, we've been here before. Is there any variation we haven't had? We've had outside, we've had inside, we've had 50 people, we've had 10 people, we've had 100 people, we've had 150 people. We've had where you have to register, you have people where they can come by and they can have a look, but they have to be outside the area. Is there any variation yet that we have yet to see in the state of Victoria that applies to real estate agents and auctions and inspections?
Well, it's certainly been the year or the 2 years of being nimble, isn't it? You can't have any fixed ideas anymore, and you've got to be flexible. We're always on the move, and we have been fairly critical over the journey of how the state government has behaved and performed. But honestly, in fairness to them, it's been a constantly changing feast, hasn't it?
It has, Phil.
What's good today is no longer good next week or the week after. I'm not sure that I agree with you. Everything just continues to change and evolve, and we're adapting to it.
Well, I said earlier on, the good premier of the state's allowed us to open up. And when I say good premier, people will see that in different ways, I suppose. But at the end of the day, Phil, we're not here to talk about politics. We're just here to get on with the job. We want to get on with the job. We want to make sure that we can start doing what we're employed to do, Phil. And that's not just entertain people on GPTV. Oh, no. That is to show people through houses, to get people the best outcome, give them the best chance to get the highest possible price when they're selling, and to give buyers a good experience on the way through, Phil. Rentals also now has got a little bit more opportunity. The vacancies, I wouldn't mind getting one of our property management leaders on the show in the weeks to come, find out what's happening in that space and let people know as well. But before we do that, Phil, let's talk a little bit about some of the properties that we have in fact sold, because we did sell a property at number 29 Lorraine Street in Bentley, Phil, a very lovely two-bedroom apartment, which was sold. We sold 136A Booran Road to Huntley. Now, that's a beautiful townhouse, Phil.
Fabulous 4 bedrooms, I think 3 bathrooms, double lock-up garage, everything that opens and shuts. And again, that style of real estate we've been saying for years, the two-story townhouse, which should be renamed the two-story home on a smaller parcel of land, they're just proving to be a staple in the real estate diet now, Gary. They're kind of anywhere from 220 to 300 square metres of internal size, anywhere from 270 to 400 square metres of land, proving very popular with young families.
Phil, we sold 7 at 19 Trevascus Street, Caulfield South, sight unseen to a Sydney investor. And good on you, Sydney investor, because you bought a great apartment.
Well, Gary, a Sydney investor can buy an apartment in Melbourne for pretty much the price of a good night out in Sydney. So Sydney people see Melbourne real estate as absolute bargain buyers.
Yes, price of a garage or parking space there. Phil, David Thompson sold 9 at 9 Ward Street, Murrumbina. That was a snap purchase, Phil, sold for $245,000. So well done to David, well done to the buyer. Phil, we'll be back with the volcano soon. I should say the towers soon, as to the clearance rates in towers. We have nothing really to compare anything to, but they'll be coming back for those that have been with GPTV a long time who want to see the towers of the clearance rates, because we are going to start auctioning, Philip. We are going to start auctioning soon, which is exciting. They're going to start in volume. We also said that we were going to talk about a few properties today, Phil, blocks of apartments. I love this 1 to 6 at 446 Dandenong Road property, Phil, because you've got the most wonderful Art Deco home in the front of the house. You've then got a masonette behind it, and then a block of 4 apartments. How good is this property?
Gary, that's situated between Kooyong Road and Kantala, and literally you've got a tram on your doorstep, you've got a train station on your doorstep, you've got High Street Armadale, you've got Glenferrie Road, Malvern. So all of the ingredients that you look for when you buy an apartment building. I just want to say to the viewers, apartment buildings have long been one of Melbourne's best areas to invest. Over our journey, Gary, we've sold a lot of apartment buildings. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, nobody in Melbourne has sold more than we have. But we continue to sell them now increasingly to younger investors that go, know what, I've got $3 or $4 million of either equity or borrowings to spend. I'm going to buy an apartment building. I'm going to fix them up either straight away or across the journey. And I'm going to hold on to this for the next 20 or 30 years. It's a diversified income stream. You've got multiple tenancies, which means that your vacancy rate is never particularly high. We love these opportunities as investments with long-term capital growth and a stable cash flow. We cannot recommend them highly enough.
I agree with that, Phil. And I think Dandenong Road is a very unique one because it's more than a block of apartments, if you can say that, because it has got that variation of that beautiful home at the front. And there's so much you could do there as well. So that's an exciting one. The other one that's extraordinary, Phil, is this block of units, I should say, 1 to 8 at 10 Edgewood Street.
Gary, that is a fantastic block. Lamore Herskovitz is handling that property, doing a great job, of course. But I've been to that property on a number of occasions with Lamore. That's a great opportunity because we've said it many times, we're massive believers in the strength of the Carnegie, Murrumbina area. This is almost in East Malvern. It's in that little pocket close to East Malvern across the road. You've got, again, walking distance to tram, train, shopping centre, and beautiful houses surround this property, Gary. So it's a very quiet residential area. So certainly we see that as a growth asset, and we couldn't recommend that highly enough as well.
Absolutely. A very good opportunity for somebody to secure one of those two. And there's a few other blocks we've got, but those two are particularly outstanding blocks of apartments. Phil, a fantastic period home, which is really kind of just made its way on the market. It's not yet on the major portal. So it's a bit of a GPTV exclusive, Phil. This home at 50 Ardrey Road, Malvern East, I should say. What a fantastic home this is. A beautiful looking period home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, got parking, and got some beautiful features right throughout the home, Phil. A home to enjoy, a home to live in. If you wanted to further improve it, I guess you could, but what a fantastic property, Ardrey Road. What a great street that is. You drive up and down that street, Phil, there's pretty period home after pretty period home. That's a real beauty. A real beauty. So there's a few of the properties that we've got coming up, Phil, just a snapshot of them, but there'll be plenty more coming through. The auctions that are set for this weekend are probably going to be pushed off, so we're not going to review them. There's only a handful of them, but we're all now into planning and getting things moving. There'll be auctions moving forward as well, Phil, because things are going to be moving around according to the interest and the desire of the vendor. So it is a very interesting time, and it's an active time. And it's an exciting time, Phil, because we are out showing properties and back out of our homes. God knows our dogs are happy, our wives are happy, our kids are happy to get rid of us finally to be able to show people properties, Phil.
Gary, good to be back in action. Viewers, if you're looking to buy property, jump into it now because we've really only got 3 months for 2021. We've got October, November, and 2/3, 3/4 of December. The market is going to be very buoyant. Now's a great time to be ringing your favourite agent or even your non-favourite agent, but get an appointment because agents are back and properties are moving very quickly. That's a big wrap, Gary. Look forward to seeing all of our viewers next week. I'm Philip Kingston. Have a great week.
I'm Gary Peer. It's a grand old flag, Phil. Hopefully one you can wave around after this weekend. Good luck to the Demons. I'm Gary Peer. See you next week.